everyone. Welcome back to Real Life. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Before we start today's episode, a reminder to our members that you have 3 new members-only episodes this week. A 1948 mystery reel from the Florida Panhandle, a 1951 reel of Antigua, Guatemala featuring people, ruins, and volcanoes, and a 1954 road trip to Zion Park, Bryce Canyon, and Sun Valley, Idaho in winter. Thank you to all my valued members for your support. Today's reel may be rather interesting to longtime residents of Vernon. It's a Doug Kermode shot Kodachrome film of a Boy Scout camping trip to Peters Lake in the Monashee Mountains in 1956. It also features an early Pacific Western float plane, Charlie Foxtrot Echo Oscar dropping off supplies for the Scouts. This aircraft was the first Cessna 180 to enter service in the Yukon in 1953 when it flew for Whitehorse Flying Services. CFEOO joined PWA shortly thereafter. Where this aircraft went after this time is a mystery, as records have not been found, and despite my best efforts, no online details could be sourced. Unusual in that Canadian aircraft registrations are some of the best kept archival records. It may be laying in a farmer's field or a hangar long forgotten. Perhaps someone watching may shed light on this mystery. Kermode Studios may be familiar to longtime residents of Vernon. Doug Kermode was born in Vernon, BC in 1913, the son of Jack and Marion Kermode, both from England. Jack was a Western Canada volunteer in the Strathcona's Horse Regiment that fought in the Boer War in 1900. Jack and Marion were married in 1910, and Marion was an active volunteer and an accomplished pianist. Doug received his education in Vernon elementary and secondary schools, following his father's footsteps as an amateur photographer. He pursued his interest by taking various photography courses, engaging in freelance work in 1938. In 1940, he was placed in charge of the commercial aspect of Mears Studio in Vernon. Doug married Nesta Winter in 1941 and opened his own photographic studio in 1943. The premises were enlarged in 1953 and relocated in 1964 and 1968. Doug and Nesta's first child, Arlene, was born in 1943. With the acquisition of a war surplus precision aerial camera in 1948, Doug did extensive aerial photography throughout the valley for several years. In 1954, he became a stringer for the CBC Television News, covering the North Okanagan area for CHBC in Kelowna. He eventually secured his private pilot's license in 1967 and bought a 4-seat Piper Tri-Pacer airplane. Doug became interested in the Vernon Little Theatre in the 1940s, winning Best Actor awards in 1948 and 55. He produced 11 plays and directed several skits. He was a past president of the Vernon Lions Club, past Chancellor Commander of the Knights of Fythus, and holds his Beemaster certificate after more than 30 years of beekeeping. During his initial years of operation in his own photography shop, when hand coloring was popular, Nesta assisted him by applying her artistic talents, especially to the oversized Blossom Time enlargements. In the early years, the 2 employees worked in the darkroom while Nesta helped out between looking after their 3 children. After the children were well advanced in school, Nesta worked full-time in photography. In 1979, Doug Kermode was awarded an honorary membership in the Professional Photographers Association of BC. He retired in 1982 with a legacy of being one of Vernon's memorable 20th century photographers. I've collected many Kermode reels over the last 30 years, and I'm always looking for any of his forgotten or lost reels. There's plenty out there. A special thank you to Dale Kermode for entrusting me with this reel. Back to the footage. I suspect from past experience that Doug shot the aerial footage separate and edited parts of it into the footage captured on the ground. Most obviously, the waterfall section roughly at around 12 minutes. The Monashee Mountains are a mountain range lying mostly in British Columbia and extending into the U.S. state of Washington. They stretch 530 kilometers from north to south and about 150 kilometers from east to west. They're a sub-range of the Columbia Mountains. The highest summit is Mount Monashee, which reaches about 3,274 meters or 10,741 feet. The name is from the Scottish Gaelic Monach and Sith, meaning moor and peace. The area is popular with hikers, campers, and photographers. Watching this footage, it's easy to see why. The young boys in this reel are now in their early 80s. I suspect that a few faces may be recognized. Enjoy. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Be kind, and we'll see you next time on Real Life.